Bluey is almost perfect. Almost. Because once you spot the animation errors, you can't unsee them. Like in the episode Sheepdog, there's a sheep wandering around the healer's house. And if you look closely, this sheep weirdly looks a bit like Bandit. So, Bingo decides to feed it some grass. Holding out a big handful, the sheep happily leans in and munches away. But that's exactly when things go wrong. As soon as the sheep takes the grass from Bingo, her entire hand disappears. Just gone. Vanished. It looks less like the sheep ate the grass, and more like it accidentally took Bingo's hand with it. In the episode's Surprise, there's a whole bunch of little mistakes hiding in one short scene. First, take a look at the oven. Nothing's hanging on it at first. But when the camera switches to Bingo, a towel magically appears on the oven handle. Then when Bandit walks in, the towel disappears again. And it doesn't stop there. Look closely at this B sticker and the long dog sticker. At first, the long dog is below the letter B, but just one cut later, it's above it. The stickers are moving on their own now. Maybe they've got a mind of their own. In the episode The Sign, Frisky gets mad at Uncle Rad and decides to cancel the wedding ceremony. She escapes to take some time alone. So, Chili and the girls go to Frisky to keep her company. And at this moment when the scene zooms out, we see a bench with a dog sitting on it, probably eating something. But the mistake is, moments later, when Bluey, Frisky, and Chili are alone, the scene zooms out again. And this time, both the bench and the dog are gone. The dog and the bench literally vanished in thin air. Now this next error is really funny. In the episode Favorite Thing, let's look at Bingo's plate for a moment. As we can see, there are 4 cherry tomatoes on Bingo's plate, and while trying to grab it with the fork, one falls down the table, and the other one flies and splashes on Bandit's head. So now, there are only 2 remaining, right? But the mistake is, moments later, when we see the plate from different angle, we can notice that there are still 4 tomatoes in it. Now this is what we call tomato multiplication magic. In the episode Magic, Bluey teaches Bingo how to use magic so she can make Chili play with her. Later in the episode, Bluey and Bingo decide to use their magic on Bandit. As the girls approach him, Bandit and Pat are arranging the garden. And if we look behind them, we see little remnants of soil on the grass. But when the scene changes, they disappear, only to reappear moments later. And that's not all. After Bluey and Bingo come across Chili, they decide to use magic on her too. Bluey orders Chili to go to the living room. When Bluey uses magic on Chili, Chili slides onto the living room floor. Now let's look at the floor here. As we can see, there are 3 papers and 2 crayons scattered. But the mistake is, in the very next scene, both crayons and one of the papers disappear. And again, seconds later, when Chili gets back up on her feet, the crayons magically reappear. Seriously, this episode has got the perfect name. This next mistake we're going to show you guys is absolutely hilarious, and the culprit is none other than our poor Bandit. In the episode The Claw, Bandit is playing a game of pretend with Bluey and Bingo, pretending to be a claw machine. After the kids attack Bandit for not letting them win the bottomless bowls of ice cream, Bandit bumps his leg on a table. Now look carefully. As we can see here, Bandit bumps his right leg, but he holds up his left leg in pain, and again, when he is at the dinner table, his right knee is wrapped. Seriously, animators need to give Bandit a break. In the episode Shadowlands, Bluey, Coco, and Snickers are playing a game where they must only walk in the shady areas and avoid the crocodile-infested sunlit grass. During one of the scenes, where the kids get stuck on a tree shadow, we can also see their respective mums sitting under a tree on a picnic blanket. Let's focus on their positions. Here, Snickers and Coco's mum are facing the kids. But moments later, the kids start howling because they're stuck, and the scene zooms onto the mums. But the mistake is, look at the positions of Snickers and Coco's mum. Now their backs are turned towards the kids, whereas moments ago we saw they were facing towards the kids. Going back to the episode, The Sign, another mistake happens when Bluey gets into the car and learns that their house is going to be sold. In the first scene, when Bluey expresses her disappointment, we look at the seat beside her. We see there's a button on the seat, but when the scene zooms out, if we zoom onto the same seat, the button is no longer there. In the episode Rug Island, Bluey and Bingo pretend that they are living on a desert island in the back garden, and they discover Bandit washed up on the beach. Bandit needs to embrace his inner kid if he wants to make Bingo and Bluey's Rug Island his home. In the end part of the episode, Bandit returns to his home from the pretend island. When Bandit is watching the girls from his house, you can notice that there's a tree in the background. But in the next scene, the tree disappears. Earlier, we could clearly see that there was a tree there. Even weirdly, after disappearing, moments later, the tree reappears. It seems like the tree is playing hide and seek. In the episode movies, when Bandit, Bluey, and Bingo are buying popcorn and tickets, we can see many movie posters on the cinema wall. Notice that the wall is red. But later in the episode, when they are watching the movie and step out to buy more popcorn, the wall has now turned purple, just like the rest of the cinema walls. And you might be thinking that they are in a different part of the cinema, but that can't be possible unless the cinema employee who served them initially has a twin brother who also works there. Another mistake also occurs in the same episode. Remember when we mentioned the movie posters hanging on the wall? In the first scene, when the wall was still red, there were two movie posters. One seems to resemble the Mario Brothers game with a canine version of Princess Peach, and the other seems to be a romantic movie. But in the second scene, when the wall has turned purple, there are two different movie posters, one featuring a little bee, and the other appearing to be a detective movie. And again, you might say that this proves that they are in different parts of the cinema. Well, pay attention to the next mistake, because it'll prove that both times they were in the same area. In both popcorn buying scenes, you can see the same fridge with green bottles on top and yellow bottles on the bottom, and the same sign that says $4 on the top shelf. The mistake is that in the second appearance of the fridge, there's also a $4 sign inside the fridge, but in the first appearance of the fridge at the cinema, you can see the external sign on top, but none inside. In the episode Trampoline, Bluey and Bingo are having fun playing on a trampoline with Bandit. And in one of the scenes where Bluey and Bingo are running on the trampoline, a small error occurs. Right at the moment when Bluey dives in the trampoline, the spot that is on her back appears on her belly. Maybe the spot also bounced from back to front. In the episode Backpackers, we see Bandit and Chili reminiscing about their youth, when they went traveling together before they had kids. But right now, instead of backpacks, they're carrying their two daughters along with socks and Muffin. Now notice that near Bandit's feet and behind Chili's tail, there are some toys that Bingo and Bluey left lying around. But if you keep watching the episode, you'll see that in the very next scene, the toys simply vanish as if someone put them away, which is impossible considering the whole family is playing together. It seems like the animators forgot to place the items back in the scene. In the episode Fruit Bat, we see a really interesting error. In one of the scenes where Bandit is sleeping on the living room floor, we can see Chili beside him with her hockey stick. And we all know Chili loves playing field hockey. In the scene, she's taping her hockey stick, and we can see she already made a few rounds with it. But when Bluey enters the scene, the yellow tape around the hockey stick disappears as if Chili never wrapped it, even though she just did it. It happens from one frame to another. Maybe the animators forgot that the stick was already wrapped. In the episode Backpackers, in the scene where Bandit goes to buy croissants, when he reaches the vendor, we see that Bingo's spots are normal. We can see the spot on her head and the round spot on her back. But when Bandit goes to get the money from his wallet, notice that for a brief moment, the spots on Bingo's head and back merge into one. However, as soon as the scene zooms out, you'll see that the spots have magically separated again. Additionally, we also notice that in the same sequence, as soon as Bandit grabs the banana, we see that Bluey's back spots are located further back and are barely visible. But when the scene cuts, the two spots are clearly visible on the side of Bluey. But how is that possible when just half a second ago, they were further back? It's definitely a big mystery. So these were some of the animation errors that we found in Bluey, and as always, we'll see you all in the next video.